Hi guys, today we're going to show you how we anchor our sailboat. So how do we decide where to anchor? We look at the pilot book for the area we're in and look through the anchorages that are around our area, and of course figure out which one is protected from what wind and swell direction and what the holding is like and things like that. On top of that, because the pilot books can quickly get out of date, we check up-to-date information on the internet or on different navigation apps. Today we're going to anchor in a cala on the island of Mallorca in the Balearic Islands. We are just approaching it right now, and I can see even from afar that it's not very busy, which is good news because when you anchor you obviously need space all around you to swing on the anchor. When approaching an anchorage, we usually follow our progress on the chart plotter, and we usually identify on the map a spot that we think would be best suitable for anchoring. But of course, once we get there, that spot might be taken, so we'll just try and anchor as close as possible to that spot, obviously keeping other boats in mind. And as well, I always keep an eye on my depth, so checking on the depth sounder to make sure that we don't run aground. So when we anchor, I'm usually at the helm and drive the boat, so I'm just helming, and Ryan is on the bow and he drops the anchor and he does a bit of eyeball navigation to make sure that we're dropping the anchor in sand rather than rocks or seaweed, which are much less good for holding. So we switched the engine on and we are motoring in. There's about, I think, 4 boats in there, and it looks like there should be enough space. It's really flat in here, so it was a good choice to come to this anchorage, and that's usually something that you can tell right away if you're in the bay or in the cove or wherever and the water is flat, and it's going to be good. If not, it's not going to. So we've identified a spot where to anchor. We're going to anchor between a motorboat and a sailboat. It looks like, even from here we can tell that there's sand on the bottom because the watercolor is completely different. The wind is coming from behind me, so I'm going to have to go around one of the boats and then come back out and go against the wind, because when I drop the hook, when Ryan drops the hook, we need to be facing against the wind so that the boat is held there, and that's the direction where we will be facing. So we want the anchor to be set in that direction. Time to slow down. So I'm going to have to go quite far in. The water looks amazing. And then I'm going to turn to face the wind. Okay, we seem far enough from that boat. We've got 7.8 meters under our keel. Okay, now I'm going to stop the boat by putting it in hard reverse. This is because we want to drop the hook while we're perfectly still. We don't want to go over it, we don't want to drag it out backwards, we just want to be still. Ryan is dropping the anchor. Okay, now that the anchor is on the bottom, I'm going to go slowly in reverse so that we can feed the chain out very gently. Ryan is putting the anchor chain down, and we had about 8 meters under the keel, which means we'll have to add 1 meter to that because that goes up to our roller bar, and calculate either 3 to 5 times that length to decide how much anchor chain we're going to put out. We might just put a scope of 1 in 3 out today because there will be lots of boats anchoring just for the afternoon, and then feed more out for the night.
Okay, that's 35 meters out.
Okay, we put 35 meters down. And the wind, yeah. We're gonna dig it in now, so I'm gonna start slowly reversing on it, and that will make sure that it will be dug in. There's not enough wind to swing us today. It's really calm, flat. So we are gonna dig in the anchor so that it's facing the opposite direction of these rocks behind me, and that means that we'll be protected from the rocks in case we ever drag, but it will be a very rare thing to drag in these conditions. Okay, Ryan is telling me that the anchor chain is getting tight, which means I can start putting the revs up a little bit. And now we're gonna check against points of reference between the boat and the shore, usually the rigging and some sort of rock or building or tree, that we are not moving. Here I go, I just check against the rigging with one of my eyes closed. It's looking very good so far, so I'm gonna up the revs a little bit more. Still good? And a tiny bit more just in case. Happy? Great. So we're both happy, the anchor is well dug in, and we're going to put up the anchor ball.
As well as the visual checks that we do to make sure that we're not dragging backwards when we're digging in the anchor, I always have my foot on the anchor chain, and you can really tell if the anchor is dragging along the bottom. It sends a lot of vibration through the chain, and you can really tell if it's moving, so that's another really good check. And I could tell then that straight away it was well in. You can, once you develop a sense for it, you can really like feel it straight away, and I knew that it was going to be fine, but we dig it in anyway. The other thing is that we have markers on our chain, both to let us know how much chain we're putting out, but also I can double check Elena's depth sounder that she tells me. If she tells me that it's 8 meters, then I can see that the 10 meter mark is like still on the boat, so yeah, it sounds right that we're in 8 meters.
Not a bad spot to be anchored. Okay, we're all anchored and we're pretty happy with how we are, but because the water is so amazing, we're just gonna go check on the anchor so you can see how it's bedded in.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
Yeah, rejuvenating.
Oh yeah.
It's not gonna be an issue to find the anchor.
I can already see it.
Oh right, from here. From 40 meters away. Nice. Off he goes.
The anchor is looking really good. It's slightly on its side, but it's really well dug in. So we're pretty confident in that. We'll probably still stay with the boat for a little bit to make sure there's no gusts or anything, but pretty confident, pretty happy to stay here tonight.
Follow our sailing adventures with Wetsuit Outlet.